All right, hello. I am sitting on the floor in front of my desk, and today I wanted to kind of show you my general TBR. So I have kind of a weird situation going on TBR wise where I'm not really okay, so I like to make these giant overcomplicated systems for everything because I love adding just a splash of the random number generator into my life. And so instead of like what I did in college was every time I finished a book I would have to disassemble and reassemble the book wall because I was an idiot. Um, but now I've got these stacks. I've got 11 of them. These 11 stacks, every time I finish a book I just randomly pick one of the stacks. So it's here, let's turn on that light. Oh, lighting. Oh, whoa. So it just adds a little bit of fun without being as obnoxious. But I want to share with you all the books currently on my TBR, my upcoming TBR. This is going to be a long video because, again, 11 stacks. They're all varying heights because it's random, but, you know. First up, I've got These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This was a Book of the Month pick. This is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet set in, I believe, Shanghai in 1926. It's very thick, and I may have seen a spoiler that Benvolio and Mercutio, their counterparts, get together, which is very in line with the original play. All right. Then I've got Words Fail Me by Patricia T. O'Connor, which is a writing book. It's about just about writing, you know, more grammar side than like story side, but it's still gonna be useful, I think. And I've got a book that I've been, oh, what the heck is that? Then I've got A Piece of Chocolate. Gross. Then I've got a book that I've been meaning to read for like 10,000 years, and that is Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock by Matthew Quick. I believe this is a school shooting book, which we all know I love to compare to normally what they're based on, which is Columbine. But I've been very interested in this one, and I am very interested to pick it up. All right, then I've got another Book of the Month book. I think this one was actually an add-on. Yeah, June 2020. I wasn't getting the book of the month in June. That was One to Watch by Kate Stayman London. This is about a plus-size, like, girl who was on like something like The Bachelorette or something like that. So it seemed vaguely interesting. This is an awful angle. I'm gonna try and fix it. I like that a lot better. Okay. So then I've got, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep these stacks still in order. And I've got my fucking desk chair in the way. The Complete Jack the Ripper by Donald Rumbelow. This is a book that I got for free. I'm not actually super interested in Jack the Ripper when it comes to serial killers, but I had to pick it up because of who I am as a person. Then I've got a book that I won from Goodreads, and that is 20 by Deborah Landwehr Engel, which is about an old woman, I think. She's 55, so she's not like that old, but an older woman. And we got our big stacks. Because my stacks in the front are pretty small because I've had them for longer. But then we got the big stacks. Then we got another Book of the Month book. I think this is, again, an add-on. No, maybe not. I don't remember. The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins, which is, I believe, a Jane Eyre retelling. I've never read Jane Eyre, but it's supposed to be a thriller, and I've been really big on thrillers lately. Then I've got a young adult fantasy book that I've been meaning to read for 7,000 years. That is And I Darken by Kirsten White, which is a Vlad the Impaler retelling. I've been very interested in this series for a long time, and hopefully I will enjoy it when I get to it. Which is, could be as soon as I finish Fargo Rock City, could be 7 years in the future, I don't know. Then I've got another Book of the Month book, which is not, I know for sure this one is not an add-on. That is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This book really made waves when it came out. It's a gorgeous book. I do enjoy V.E. Schwab. I've read Vicious and the first two Dark Shade of Magic books, so I've been interested in this one. And it was, I mean, it was a pretty handy that I started getting Book of the Month, because then I could pick it up. Then I've got Fat Boy Swim by Catherine Ford. A lot of the times, the thing is, when I'm fundamentally a little bit lazy, and so I have a new system going with how I take books out of the book wall in my head. I haven't done it yet, but half the time when I do a book haul, then I have to take apart, put the book wall back together. However, unless they end up on my imminent TBR, that's why this one is there. Doesn't explain why I have it in the first place, but shut the fuck up. Alright, then I've got my very last little stack here. I've got The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks, which I can tell you now is going to be a headache, and I'm going to hate it. But maybe it'll surprise me. I don't think it will. I'm not a fantasy person. It's fucking huge. Okay. Then I've got that was the first book of each 11 stacks, just to be clear here. Then I've got Eat the Rich by Andrew Rivas, which is, I believe, a self-published novel about a vlogger who films herself cooking and eating rich people, which sounds very fun. I've got The Woman in White by A.J. Finn, which is one of the, popular thrillers that came out. It had a movie with Amy Adams in it, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen it, obviously. Not obviously, it's not obvious, but I haven't seen it. I've got another true crime book. I've got Dracula Killer by Ray Biondi, who was one of the cops that caught him. This is about Richard Chase. This is one that I'm very, a lot more interested in than the Jack the Ripper one, so I'm excited. Then I've got, ignore this on the front, I don't know why I got this used, but it's Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Brosh. I read her blog over and over and over again because it's hilarious, so I figured I would buy her book, even if it's just off of Thrift Books and it comes with a Nazi symbol on it. I don't know what's happening. Then I've got my own book. One of my own books anyway. This is Circus Wings, which is book 1 of the Tanan trilogy. Awful cover, I know, bear with me. It's kind of a fun fantasy series. I know I've said I don't like fantasy very much, and let me tell you, I'm currently writing the second book right now, and it is a struggle because I don't like fantasy, and I don't know why I put myself through this. But, yeah, this is my own book, and I will, and will continue to read and write my own books on Goodreads. Alright, so then I've got The Chestnut Man by Soren Sveistrup, which is like a Swedish serial killer book, I believe. Another Book of the Month book. Again, this was an add-on. We're going to stop with the add-ons now with my new book buying restrictions, or book wall shrinkage 2.0. I tried the 1.0, didn't work. Then I've got The Dark Half by Stephen King. This would be a reread. It will be a reread. This is one of my favorite Stephen King books, non-ironically, and I'm very excited to read it again. One of his ones about writers. Then I've got another thriller, because again, I've been on a pretty big thriller kick. That is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. I have a couple of her books. I've heard very fun things about her. I have found that I've just got no, what's the word? Standards when it comes to thrillers. I want to read, domestic thrillers, I want to read them all. I want to read them all. Alright, then I've got, motherfucker, The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. I read The Inferno for college, and now I'm gonna read all of it because I hate myself. Alright, then I've got another thriller. Dear Wife by Kimberly Bell. I don't know what this one's about. I got it at a thrift store and it looked interesting and it's very floppy. So I was like, what the hell? Then another mass market paperback off my little stack in the back. Roswell High, The Outsider by Melinda Metz. This was an awful show. I only made it through the first 3 episodes. I liked this guy. Not the main guy, that guy. Spiky hair there. But I'm gonna read it. Then I've got What School Could Be by Ted Dintersmith. I've actually read this book for professional development because I'm a teacher. And now I have to read it again. It wasn't that good. Part of me is just wondering, why the hell everything needs to be useful. It doesn't. It doesn't need to be useful. Then I've got Strange Women of the Occult, speaking of the most not useful thing in the world, by Warren Smith. This is one thing that I think, oh yeah, I looked at this, I'm like, what book would Damien Eccles own that would get him convicted of murder? It's something like this. Then, The Prince and the Pauper by Mark Twain. Also, we've emptied a stack. Because like I said, they're completely random how many books are in them because it's random when I pick them. But this is obviously Mark Twain, one of the greatest American writers ever. I've never read The Prince and the Pauper. I have a lot of Mark Twain and I'm just slowly working my way through it. Then I've got fucking Bernie Sanders. I've got Our Revolution, which I think I bought after Joe Biden was elected president for some reason. But I guess I'll read it now. I do like this old man. I think he's kind of fun. I love his accent. Then I've got My Friend Anna by Rachel DeLocke Williams. This is a true crime book, actually, and not when it comes to murder, but more in terms of just like white collar crimes. This woman like pretended to be an heiress and she wasn't, and she just ended up scamming people. It's kind of fun. I won it from Goodreads. A lot of these I've won from Goodreads. For some reason they keep sending me books. Then I have Chain Letter 2 by Christopher Pike. This is a book that I read over and over and over and over again at the tender age of 7, and I'm excited to read it again. All I remember is, spoilers, Kip gets set on fire. Alright, then I've got, oh no, this was my January Book of the Month pick. That is The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. I'm sure this is going to be incredible. I'm sure it's going to make me bawl my eyes out. It's about 2 slaves who fall in love, and I'm assuming that they die. I'm just assuming it. Then I've got Bleach, volume 64 by Tite Kubo. Bleach was my shit back in middle school, and I've still got some of them hanging out in the book wall. So I guess I'll read them. No, I will. I'm reading everything that comes out of the book wall, no matter how ridiculous it is. I've got 27 Hours by Tristina Wright. I'm pretty sure this author got like put on blast because I think this book pushes colonizer things. It's hard to keep track of all these things, but I'm still gonna read it because honestly, when somebody tells me that I shouldn't read up something, I want to read it more. So I got it. I think I bought it off of Amazon even. Then I've got another Stephen King book. I've got a lot of Stephen King rereads in that book wall. I've only got 6 of them left, like to read for the first time, so I just reread them. I've got Pet Sematary by Stephen King here. Obviously, I don't know, like, if it's obvious, but obviously if I keep mentioning the book wall, these are not all of my unread books. I've got over 1,000 unread physical books. That's not even counting my fucking Kindle. These are just the ones that I could conceivably read soon. But Pet Sematary I've only read once or twice. It's a fun one. I haven't seen the new movie because honestly I'm pissed off that the little boy doesn't die. At least immediately. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I just know that they killed the little girl instead. Spoilers for Pet Sematary. Then I've got Burn Baby Burn, The Watts Riot by Jerry Cohen and William S. Murphy. This is a nonfiction book about the Watts Riot. And when was that? The 60s? When was the Watts Riot? I don't know this off the top of my head. That makes me feel bad about myself. 1965. I'm smarter than I look. Alright, then I've got Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This looks like a Book of the Month book, and it is, but I actually found it at Goodwill. It's a thriller. 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad. This was like the shit back when booktube was first starting to boom, and I was vaguely interested. I don't like space, but it should be fun. I've got Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This was one of my add-ons. I've been interested in this one. I've heard it's very dark, which I do like, so I'm excited about that. Then I've got V.C. Andrews' Broken Flower. I'm gonna say, I read April Shadows and there wasn't any incest, and I was a little bit disturbed and very upset. So I'm hoping there's incest in this one because that is what I go to V.C. Andrews for. She's not here for her writing, we're here for the incest. I've got The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. I read The Sun is also... The Sun? I'll Give You the Sun. It was okay. I found this at a thrift store. Alright. Then I've got another one of my books. This is Vendetic Spawn. I said it wrong, and it's my own fucking book. Vendetic is the series. Spawn is the book title. This is about a heavy metal band who goes out to play a festival, and then they awaken an ancient evil. So that's super fun. It takes place in 1982, and if you are familiar with heavy metal bands of the 80s, you will probably guess where I gauged inspiration for each band, but let me tell you, this is not fan fiction. I wouldn't have published it if it was fan fiction. I would have put it on AO3. This is just, I just need them for like templates. I just like, okay, here's this band. I need a blonde one, a dark-haired one, a red-headed one, and like another brown-haired one or something like that. You know, like it's just for template reasons. Mostly for how they look, but it's very fun, and I enjoyed writing it a lot. But yeah, I'm gonna read it. Then I've got Stone Dead by Ellen Jameson, which is a shitty little paperback horror. I love the hell out of. Then I've got my February book of the month book pick, which is Girl A by Abigail Dean, which I believe is something similar to the, I don't remember what their names were, the Turn-Ins? They were like that couple who looked, that man had the most unfortunate haircut in the world, which is a little bit like mine, not gonna lie. But they, like, one of their daughters escaped because they had like 13 kids locked in the basement. I believe this is something like that, which should be really fun. And then I've got The Poorhouse Fair by John Updike, which is, I believe, short stories. I don't know if it is. No, it's a novel. I've never read a John Updike novel. I've only ever read a short story, so that should be interesting. All right, my feet are falling asleep, so yay. And then I've got another one of my own books. Oh God, maybe if I crouch, it'll be better. Squatting is somehow better. Okay, this is One More Sad Song, which is the first in the Otts Boys series, which are kind of more companion novels because it takes these characters. This one takes place in 2004, so they all take place in like the early 2000s. But it takes these characters and it finds the most defining moment of their life, and they're all, you know, like teenage boys or young adult boys. And it writes about that. And so this is about a kid named Zeke who wants to be a professional skateboarder, and he's gay and he's in love with his best friend Kevin. And it has fun lines such as, "The Matrix isn't real, Kevin," which is still my favorite line I've ever written. I love Zeke so much. That dumb bastard. He's the stupidest motherfucker ever to exist. If you read Spawn and you think like, holy shit, Nico's an idiot, Zeke is 7,000 times worse. I'm pretty sure he actually has a learning disability and I just didn't realize it. Definitely he's got like ADHD or something. I don't know. He's just a dumb motherfucker. But I love this book. This isn't my favorite book I've ever written, but it is very close to my heart. This sounds like an ad now. It's not an ad, I swear. Oh my God, my feet are asleep. I've got Dead Time Stories. I've got Mirror Mirror by A.G. Cascoen. This is like rip-off Goosebumps. So that's all she wrote. Oh yeah, right there. I've got West Side Story by Irving Shulman. This is a novelization of the musical. Have never seen the musical, but I know it's like a Romeo and Juliet thing, so that's pretty chill. I've got Art is Everything by Yixtamaya Murray. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. This is I think a literary fiction thing. I think the first sentence was really, really funny. Oh no, it wasn't. It just had a hard to pronounce name. I won this from Goodreads. There? No, there. I'm having a time trying to figure out where all these go on my stacks over here. I've got My Sister, My Love by Joyce Carol Oates. And this is like inspired heavily on the JonBenet Ramsey case, I believe. So that should be really fun when I get around to it. I love true crime inspired books because I love true crime. Then I've got, holy shit, I've got a mess. I've got Women on Food by Charlotte Druckmann and 115 writers, chefs, critics, television stars, and eaters. This is an arc, but it came out in October of 2019. Predictably, it's another book I won from Goodreads. Alrighty, and I've got Student Discipline Strategies, Research and Practice by Oliver C. Moles. Self-explanatory. Then Sweet Valley High, Starting Over, with alright cover. My favorite cover still remains the one with that guy with that porn statue just staring straight into your soul. I don't remember what it's called. Then I've got No Easy Answers by Brooks Brown and Rob Merritt. Brooks Brown, this is about Columbine. Brooks Brown was an on and off friend of the shooters, so it looked kind of interesting. And on top of West Side Story there, I've got The Coach Approach to School Leadership by Jessica Johnson, Shira Leibowitz, and Kathy Parrott, which is about teaching again. Okay, that goes there. I've got I'm a Therapist and My Patient is in Love with a Pedophile by Dr. Harper. This is self-published r/no sleep kind of stuff. I enjoy them though, and they're very quick reads. Okay, got another one I won from Goodreads. The World Doesn't Require You by Rian Amilcar Scott. Short stories. It came out August 2019. I apologize for the butchering of the name, but I think these are just going to be some interesting short stories. Alrighty then. Then I've got, yes, Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This is one of my Book of the Month books, but this is one of my add-ons. Riley Sager is a thriller author I've been meaning to get into. I've heard some mixed things about his books, but good things. I think he's kind of on the horror-y side, which I do enjoy. So I picked up this. Got Special Christmas. It's a Sweet Valley High book again. Alrighty. And I've got Yours for Eternity by Damien Eccles and Laurie Davis. I once said that I would read several times I've said I'd read Damien Eccles' shopping lists, and so I figured I would actually read the one book of his that I've been avoiding, which is Love Letters between him and his wife. Like, I don't want to read this shit, but he's an amazing writer, so I'm gonna read this shit. Alright, okay. I've got Premeditated by Jocelyn L. McQueen. This is a young adult thriller, I believe. It looked vaguely interesting. I won it in a lot of books, not when I paid for it, but I got a lot of books from eBay back before my shrinkage plan. Where the fuck was this? Here. Yeah, now we're just in the back ones, which are pretty high up. I've got Monster by Christopher Pike, some more shitty 90s teen horror. I've got Killer's Kiss by R.L. Stine, which is, I mean, more shitty 90s teen horror. It's a Fear Street book, which again, I read a lot as a kid and really enjoyed. I've got Forbidden Love by Francine Pascal. It's another Sweet Valley High book. The reason I have so many of these goddamn things is because when I worked at the library, somebody donated a bunch of them, and then Joe, the library director, was like, "Oh, I threw these away," and I couldn't. I've got a fucking book savior complex, and it's awful. I've got Lonesome Gods by Louis L'Amour. Louis L'Amour's like the one famous author from North Dakota. Okay, there are a couple, but he's like the most famous. And I've never read one of his books. He's a Western author. Apparently he's actually pretty good though. I just know that I went to college in where he was from, and there was just, everything was Louis L'Amour, and I was sick of it, man. Like, we had a giant Louis L'Amour display in the library I worked at, and I was sick of it. I hated that man. I've never read anything he wrote, so I guess I better if I want to hate him. I've got Plain Song, which is the literary journal that my college puts out. This is actually this is volume 34, the 2020 Plain Song. And it is, I have got a poem in here. It's called I Probably Need a Tetanus Shot, because I'm a very serious poet. Then I've got Gone by Michael Grant. Gone is like the first book in one of my favorite. Gone might be actually my favorite series of all time. So I think I saw this at a thrift store, and even though I already have them and they're deliciously hideous old covers, I'm gonna put up a picture here because they're deliciously hideous. I couldn't leave it there, so I bought it and now I'm gonna read it again. Okay. I've got another book I won from Goodreads. The Asterix War, Volume 1, Encounter with a Fiery Princess by Yu Miyazaki. This is a light novel. So it's a novel. It's got words in it. It's got some pictures. So it's like pretty much like a less intense novel, kind of. I don't really understand the phenomena of light novels. It's just a fucking book. But I think it's like something to do with, like, it's not as like dense as like serious novels or something like that, and it's got the manga drawings in there. I won it from Goodreads. And then I've got Last Chance, which is another Sweet Valley High book, and The Curse of Rathlaw by Peter Saxon, which is a old pulpy horror novel. I've got another Peter Saxon book. I think it's Son of Satan or something like that. Spawn of Satan maybe, I don't remember. But it's in the same kind of vein as this. This looks kind of fun. Look at that guy. That guy inspired a heavy metal cover. That's not me saying that for sure. I just think he probably did sometime. I've got The Phantom by Barbara Steiner, which is another cheesy teen young adult 90s horror. I've got Bird Box by Josh Malerman, which was very popular when it came out, and now it's got a movie with Sandra Bullock in it on Netflix. I don't have Netflix, and I don't watch that much TV or movies if I did, but I heard good things. Also, apparently Machine Gun Kelly's in the movie, and I liked his acting in The Dirt, so. Then I've got another pulpy horror novel. This is The Drive-In by Joe R. Lansdale. This is signed by Joe R. Lansdale. I got this off of a lot of shitty horror paperbacks off of eBay. It looked fun. I don't have these. I don't know. I know what I'm saying what these are about, but I'm 25 minutes in at this point. I've got Needful Things by Stephen King, another reread. obviously. I guess not obvious that I had 5 or 6 left to go. I've only read this one once, but I really, really enjoyed it. This one is actually, I think, one of the best ones when it comes to build up that Stephen King has ever done. Like, he really builds this one up, and then the climax is delicious. I liked it a lot, and I'm really excited to reread it. Alright, then I've got Lila by Robert M. Pirsig, which is the sequel to Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, which I read to make my dad happy. It was okay. I liked some stuff I had to say. I was not really exactly pleased that my dad ordered this for me, and then when I got this in the mail, I guess I like getting a free book, but this is... I'm not a philosophy person, to put it simply. Alright, then I've got The Whisper Man by Alex North, which is another serial killer novel, I believe. This is another Book of the Month add-on that I had. I've got From a Buick 8 by Stephen King, which is actually one of the 6 that I have not yet read. So I'm excited about this one. I think it's going to be pretty fun. It's just always so weird. It's so weird to me to read a Stephen King that I haven't read before, because there are very few of them at this point. Like, I've been reading that man for almost 12 years at this point, and I'm just like, I read almost all of them. Then I've got A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. I have owned the series for years and I've never picked it up. I read the first 2 books in the Diviner series. I like those. I read Going Bovine. I like that. So I figured it's finally time to pick this up. I've got Sati by Christopher Pike, which is, again, Christopher Pike was one of the shitty 90s teen horror authors. He had some legitimately interesting stuff, but yep. I've got Cheerleaders, Getting Even, which is again by Christopher Pike, which is interesting because this is like a teeny bopper novel. So we'll see how that goes. I hope someone gets set on fire. Alright, I've got Compulsion by Martina Boone. And if you've been around for a while, like since I started the channel, this was the very first book review I ever posted. I gave it like 3 stars, and that's when I was like really like lax on books. But I got it in a lot of young adult books off of eBay, so now I guess I'm gonna reread it and see if I still don't like it. Alright, I've got another nonfiction book. I've got The Real Lolita by Sarah Weinman, which is about the girl who inspired Vladimir Nabokov, my creative writing professor in college, who is cringing right now. To write Lolita. So this should be interesting. Another like kind of true crimey situation here. I've got Skin and Bones by Sherry Shahan, which is a young adult eating disorder book. And Special Ones by E.M. Bailey, which is a cult book, I want to say. I think it's a cult book. I'm pretty sure it's a cult book. That is the vibe I get, at least. And then I've got Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, which I haven't read yet. I'm an English teacher, and I've read 34 books this year, and I haven't yet read Brave New World, so that's chill. Then I've got The Selected Essays of Montaigne, which is essays from, he was a French, like, political theorist situation guy. Cute little book. I've got Beartown by Frederick Backman, which is one of my favorite books. This is a reread. I love Beartown. If you haven't read Beartown, go read Beartown. It made me bawl my eyes out. I almost died. And finally, you know, not finally as in the last book, but finally as in I'm gonna read The Hate You Give, which I haven't read yet. It's February 20th, 2021. When did this book come out? It has been on the bestseller list for like 207 weeks. I remember seeing that like earlier. It's like, goddamn. This book came out in 2017. I think I bought it in 2017 or 2018. This book took the world by storm, and I have not read it. It's been added to high school curricula. Like, look at all these awards. It got the Prince. It's a Prince Honor book. It's a Coretta Scott King Award, William C. Morris Award. Like, I'm sure it's had more since this, and I'm gonna read it now sometime. It's at the bottom of that stack, so probably not sometime soon. But sooner than I would have otherwise. I've got Final Girls by Riley Sager, which is another one of those, it was another one of my add-ons, because I want to read some Riley Sager, so I picked up Final Girls. So now I have 2 of his books. Hopefully I like them. I've got another Sweet Valley High book, Say Goodbye. This one's got kind of a funny cover. Okay. Let's make sure that that's stacked. My feet are gonna be dead. They've moved past hurting, now they're just numb now. I've got The Smoke Thieves by Sally Green. I know she said some like kind of shitty things. Probably, I think she's like transphobic or something. I really like the Half Bad series, and I think I bought this used, so it's okay. That's fun. I've got another Stephen King reread. I have Christine. I love Christine. I think it's a lot of fun, so I'm excited to reread that. I've got Goosebumps Horrorland, Welcome to Camp Slither, because I am still a 6-year-old at heart. I've got Beautiful Girl by Elizabeth Ogilvy, which is another one that Joe told me to throw away and I took home instead. That happened a lot, actually, at the library, I think, as much as you're thinking it would. I've got a book that I was supposed to read for a class, my novella class, that actually the book that I wrote for that class is published now. It's The Horror at Camp New Woods. But that's On Becoming a Novelist by John Gardner. I never read it. Every week he'd be like, "Did you read On Becoming a Novelist yet?" And I'd be like, "No." I will though. I will. I've got a book that I really loved as a kid, Boys or Dogs by Leslie Margolis. I saw this at a thrift store and paired with like its sequel that I never read, so now I get to reread it. I'm very excited. I've got another Sweet Valley High book. I'm gonna be so fucking saturated with Sweet Valley High. Deceptions. Has Elizabeth found a new love? I'm gonna just start reading off the taglines for those now, just so that you know what's going on with that. I've got Cyrano de Bergerac by Edmond Rostand, which is a play. I've never read this one. What was it originally? French. I could have read it in the original French, not very well, but I could have. Alright. I've got The Great Short Works of Leo Tolstoy, which are a bunch of short stories and novellas and stuff by Leo Tolstoy. This is going to be, I imagine, less hard to get through than War and Peace, partially because it's a lot shorter, but also because it's going to be more broken up. A War and Peace was the Russian, Les Mis, which I also read. But I've got The Chain by Adrian McKinty, which is another arc that I won from Goodreads. It came out in 2019, July. It's out. It's been out for a while. It's another thriller. It should be fun. Here's the actual cover. So that's pretty chill. Then I've got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, which I have not yet read. It's only 90 pages, so it should be pretty fun. I'm going pretty fast now because I'm almost done, but I've been talking for 30 minutes. I've got Jillian by Hallie Butler, which I've actually seen a lot of talk about recently, so I'm actually pretty interested now because it's something that I don't even remember where I thought of it, but I got it off of thrift books and it looks kind of cool. Let's see. Then I've got another arc from Goodreads. They've got Do Better, Spiritual Activism for Fighting and Healing from White Supremacy by Rachel Ricketts. So that's going to be very pleasant, I'm sure. It came out February 2nd, 2021. I thought for once I had an arc that hasn't already come out, but it has. I've got another one of my books that I wrote. This is I said that One More Sad Song is not my favorite book I've ever written. This one is. And my little sister, who has read pretty much not quite, I don't think she hasn't read Circus with, she read everything else, says that this is definitely the best one, and I agree with her. That is The Crucifixion of Craig Knox, which is based on the West Memphis 3, like, very heavily. But it's just, I just think it just makes me really sad. This is the one, like, I do think this is the best book I've ever fucking written, is The Crucifixion of Craig Knox. If you only want to go and buy one of my books, buy The Crucifixion of Craig Knox. I love it so much. I love it so much. So yeah, that little serious jazz over with. I've got another Sweet Valley High book, Memories. Can Kara make Steven forget Trisha Martin? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Probably. I don't know. I've got Dead Mountain, which is about the Dyatlov Pass incident. Every time I want to say Dilatov, but it's Dyatlov. Dyatlov. Where all those Russian people, like, died mysteriously. I think they figured out what it was, actually. And so it's not actually a big mystery, but it's kind of a cool story, so I wanted to read it. I've got a book in a series that I loved a lot as a kid, Sammy Keys and the Art of Deception by Gwendolyn Van Dranen. Sammy Keys was like my original hero. Like, she was so cool. She wore Converse. She solved crimes. Oh, she was fun. She was like the cooler Nancy Drew. I've got Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. Back when the horror... Oh, it was like a horror book box. Back when that was still a thing, I got this in one of those. So that's fun. And I've got another Louis L'Amour book, Lonely on the Mountain. So I guess I'll be reading some Louis L'Amour. I've got Rookie Teaching for Dummies. So this is make your first year in the classroom a success. I'm already almost done with my first year in the classroom. So hopefully it can help make my second year in the classroom a success, as well as the first year, but we'll see. And I've only got one stack left because it was, I think, the tallest one. Well, I know it was the tallest one, you idiot, oh my god. I've got The Cave Dwellers by Christina McDowell, which is an ARC. This one has not come out yet. This comes out May 25th. So I don't know what it's about. I won it from Goodreads. I don't know why they keep sending me shit. I've got a self-published book because since I started self-publishing, I've been more into buying self-published books. I don't know. In Search of the Sapphire by W.R. Armstrong. This is a god-awful cover, but I've had my own god-awful cover, so you know what? I'm not gonna judge. I've got Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which of course I've read Harry Potter. I was way into Harry Potter when I was a kid. It'll be interesting to reread. And when we're talking about transfer book authors, I know J.K. Rowling is an awful person. I got it used. It's fine. I've got Cold Thin Air. I've got Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. This is more self-published R/no sleep stuff. This has Baraska in it. If you are a creepypasta fan, Baraska is pretty popular and kind of seen as one of the best. Oh, they're sliding. And finally, I've got Saint Iggy by K.L. Going, which I think I read. She wrote Gabriel something about a kid named Gabriel. The Liberation of Gabriel King, which I loved as a kid. So I'm excited to read this one. I think it's about a kid who was gets kicked out of school. Should be fun. But that is my immediate TBR. I don't know how many books that is. I'm not going to count because I don't want to. So that's what I will be reading in the near future. How I get new books is whenever I do a book haul, I add a new stack. And I want to keep that to be the only way, except for because Steven got me 3 nice cute little bookmarks for Christmas. And so if one of those comes out of rotation, I will get a new stack for that. But every other bookmark I'm going to stop getting new stacks for, because I'm very close to finishing some of these stacks. And I've got a lot of stacks here. I'm running out of room for stacks. But yeah, that is all for today. This is a god-awfully long video. That's it. Goodbye. My feet are dead now, by the way. They're dead.